all your central data flows through, which later on we'll discover hardware-specific network architecture. Okay, now here's a look at the routing and addressing of the network. You can see that systems is actually, or development is broken up into two: systems development and software development, and those are their own work groups. And this is how you're going to, base your flows and your addressing based on how departments need access. So we see when you have two work groups, they build up the functional area 1. And this also covers their addressing as it will exist in the network. You can see Datacom is its own functional area, network operations is a functional area, and customer service is a functional area. And those are separated by our functional boundaries, which is, again, is how the IPs are segmented so that we can have those addresses distributed within those departments. And this is just a look at, how we're going to segment groups and flows. And here on the next slide, you'll actually see these groups segmented within the network, the logical network that we have proposed, and how their flows are going to fare out. You can see that, for group 1, they contain 3 flows with the different applications that are necessary for that flow. And you can see their RMA and capacity for those flows and the delay. And then, of course, Group 2 and Group 3 have their own applications, and we'll take a look at how those groups and flows are segmented within the logical network on the next slide. Okay, like I said, are these flows and these groups segmented within the logical network that we have designed, and you can see the different groups which are segmented. Each group has, its own flows, as we saw on the previous slide, that you can apply to these different connections to give us sort of a priority on how the flows should go within our network based upon these groups that we have implemented on these different lines, as well as you can still see the access distribution and core segments and how those correlate to our departments as well as the groups/flows. Here we have the security architecture, and they're broken into 5 different zones, as you can see. Of course, each zone, this will be a deterrent of who has access to which zone and how security checks are done within the boundaries of each zone. Of course, our ISRs have security features, as well as some of those servers will be built as security functions as well. But you can see that each department is its own zone, as we have labeled security zone, and the whole thing is also covered in a security zone. So basically each department has its own security specifications that we will implement to protect each department as an individual, and then they also all fall into Zone 1, which will be an overall umbrella security architecture for the entire network. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, this is the logical network design with your hardware implementations in place. I had the device requirement listed earlier, and these are those devices actually implemented within the network as we have logically built it. You can see that for all of the host machines, we have the Dell Precision T1500s for all of those clients, and then all the clients then butt into a Cisco Catalyst 3560 switch, which the switch then goes to the core of the network at the Cisco 2901 ISR router. And then, of course, for the servers, you can see for the NetOps and backup email servers, we have chosen the PowerEdge R900, whereas we discussed earlier, the storage farm servers will be the PowerEdge T710. Obviously, they don't do as much processing; they're just more of a storage farm. So this is sort of the logical network of the design we have laid out with the hardware implemented as well. Here we have more of a physical network design of how the network will actually be built. You can see device specifications located next to each device, whereas you see the Cisco Catalyst 3560 has got 10 base T Ethernet. It's got 100 megabits per second transfer rate. Notice that all sites are connected via the Gig Ethernet, and we have all of the switches and the host going into the Cisco ISR, which again you can see 10, 100, 1000 Ethernet ports at 100 or 1000 megabits per second, excuse me. With all, and again you have the gig Ethernet connecting them all, and this is physically how the network will be built. Again, not with the clients, but you can see from a basic perspective of how each department will physically be connected. And then, of course, you can see from the far left Cisco 29 ISR, there will be a fiber OC48 that goes to the main headquarters. This will also give us our intranet access and our internet access to this extended network. This is a pretty basic list of the network devices. Again, you see the same hardware that we mentioned earlier, only now we have added the Cisco Catalyst switch there at the bottom. You can see the number of units that will be implemented in the network. And you can see on the Precision T1500 that we're allotting 90 more units, so that's 90 more people that can work within this new location. So you can see the space absorbment there. This is just, for our value, it was we compared several different devices that we could use within the network. And this is sort of our rating system and how they weight. You can see that we have 9 different evaluation criteria, and their weight within our minds as to how we chose the different devices. You can see recurring costs and risks being some of the most important things. We know that security is a big deal for your organization, so we put risk as a pretty high priority. And you can see at their totals, you see a numbers underscore a number. This is their base rating and then their weighted rating, and you can see that the Cisco ISR was by far our best choice. This is a schedule that we have implemented for the entire project. Of course, the timeline would be to have this done and completed, maybe still doing some testing by January 1st of 2011. You can see we also have a Gantt chart at the bottom depicting the schedule, but we'd like to have the finished network logical, all that done, everything blueprinted, by June 1st of 2011. This has a little leeway because we'll actually start building the physical building on June 1st, and then we give that 3 months to get that building up. It's not a huge building, so we can anticipate the 3 months being plenty of time. Once the building is done, then we can start using those blueprints, installing and setting up all the hardware, and getting those users in there, and getting that hardware configured for the network as we have laid out, and then we can implement that system and do some testing and troubleshooting, and hopefully by January 1st. But you can see with the Gantt chart how we have proposed the different things start to be implemented and who does the implementation. It's next to the Gantt chart. You can see corporate management, network design team, things such as that, and hopefully we can get the job done by January 1st of 2011. And now finally, here's the budget. Which this budget actually also contains the building itself, which is a huge expense as far as the whole overall budget goes. You can see that the budget total is at $778,847.97. But if you subtract the $650,000 that we take from the building, then you're left with just simply $28,847.97. So the overall network budget is not too expensive, but the building itself is pretty expensive. But you can expect about a $790,000 budget total, just to give us some leeway in case something else does need to be purchased or something does go wrong. But this is an overall budget for the network. Okay, that concludes the discussion. Again, I'm Kyle Townsend, and we've walked through all of the requirements that we need for your network edition, as well as application requirements department needs. From there, we had a logical design. We went into hardware selection and implementing that hardware within the logical design, and then getting into an actual physical design of how the network will be laid out. We had addressing and routing configurations for the new network and how it connects to your existing network. We've covered some security features. Of course, all of the security awareness and policies from the actual headquarters will still apply to the addition. From there, we discovered the scheduling budget of the project. Again, I'm Kyle Townsend, and if you have any more thoughts, just contact me. Thank you.